Prologue, Whispers in the Wind. On an early spring morning, the sleepy town of Emberfield awoke to birdsong and pink-streaked clouds. In a small art studio overlooking the river, Mira sketched delicate petals onto her latest canvas, unaware that today would shift her world. Across town, in the cluttered backroom of a family bakery, Theo kneaded dough, his mind heavy with unspoken worries. Both were strangers to each other, yet fate was already weaving their stories together through two simple questions. 1. First encounters and fragile walls. The studio. Mira loved quiet mornings. The solitude gave her space to think, to breathe. But lately, her solitude felt more like loneliness. Her last serious relationship had fizzled when she couldn't voice her needs, her partner never asked, and she never mustered the courage to speak. She mixed paints into a soft lavender and stepped back. The canvas felt incomplete, much like her life. At that moment, Theo entered the studio, soaked by a sudden rainstorm. He held an envelope covered in flower dust. Sorry to barge in, he apologized, shaking off his coat. I received this invitation, but the address was for this building. Do you know who it's for? Mira glanced at the envelope, elegant script, no name. Their eyes met. She shook her head. Let me dry this for you, she offered, grabbing a towel. As she wiped his hands, Theo's gaze lingered. Thank you. I'm Theo, he said, voice gentle but tired. Mira, she replied, and in that instant, the walls around her heart trembled. Coffee and confessions. They decided to linger over coffee next door. Outside, rain drummed on the cafe's awning, and inside, warmth crept into their conversation. But beneath polite chatter lay caution. Both bore scars from relationships where needs were ignored, voices silenced. When the barista brought their lattes, Theo cleared his throat. Mira, can I ask you something? He said, tentatively. She tilted her head. Of course. He drew a breath and met her eyes. What do you need most from me? Mira froze. No one had ever asked that. She felt a rush of emotions, surprise, relief, fear. 2. The first question, unspoken needs. Uncovering desire. Mira's mind raced. She thought of the times she'd pretended everything was fine, of the nights she'd cried alone, of the joy she'd swallowed to avoid conflict. Now someone was asking her to name her need. I need you to remember the little things, she began haltingly. Like how I adore sketching at dawn, or that I'm sensitive to loud noises when I'm stressed. I need you to notice when I'm quiet and ask me if I'm okay. Her voice grew stronger. I need you to ask follow-up questions. Not just, how was your day, but, what part of today challenged you the most, and then actually listen. Theo nodded, absorbing every word. He reached across the table. I hear you, he said softly. I want to learn your world. The weight of promise. Mira felt lightness in her chest. This wasn't a grand pledge, no bouquets or declarations. It was the willingness to bear witness. Yet the promise trembled on Theo's lips. Could he follow through? They parted that day with an unspoken agreement to try. 3. Fractures and first tests. A misstep. 2 weeks later, Mira returned home late from a gallery opening. Overwhelmed, she collapsed onto her doorstep. Theo, who had been waiting inside, rushed to her side. How was the exhibit? He asked as she pushed the door closed. Mira, exhausted, snapped, it was fine. Then she retreated to her room, slammed the door, and sobbed. Theo sat on the couch, bewildered. He'd asked the question, but he hadn't prayed for the truth. He hadn't asked the deeper follow-up she needed. 4. A deeper dive. The park reunion. That weekend, they met at Linden Park under a canopy of cherry blossoms. The air smelled of petals and promise. Mira approached slowly, still wounded. Theo stood and offered her a seat on a wooden bench. For a long moment, neither spoke. Finally, Theo exhaled. "Mira, I'm sorry I didn't ask the right question when you got home. I asked how was the exhibit, but I didn't ask, what was the most overwhelming part for you, or what did you hope to see tonight?" I failed to see beyond the surface. Myra's eyes welled. "I needed you to say, tell me what moved you tonight, or what part of the show took you by surprise. Those words matter." He nodded. "Thank you for telling me. I promise to try again." 5. The second question, emotional safety. A quiet moment. As spring melted into summer, their bond deepened. Yet Mira felt lingering hesitation. Could she truly let go? One evening, they sat by the riverbank, the moon shimmering on the water. Theo looked at her, face illuminated by starlight, and asked, "How can I make you feel safe enough to speak your truth?" Myra's breath caught. No one had ever asked her that. Not her parents, not old friends, not even therapists. Emotional safety was a fortress she'd never breached. 6. Building new foundations. Blueprint for trust. Mira touched the water's edge with her fingers. "I need you to listen without fixing," she said slowly. "If I share something raw, my fears, my regrets, I don't want you to rush in with solutions or tell me I'm wrong. I need you to sit with me in the discomfort." She paused. "And I need assurance that what I share won't be used against me later. If I say something out of anger or pain, I need to know you won't hold it over my head." Theo nodded, his expression solemn. "I understand. I want to hold your vulnerability like the most precious thing." They clasped hands. In that simple touch, a new bridge formed, tender, unbreakable. 7. The crucible of adversity. The storm. Summer thunderclouds gathered one afternoon when Mira received news her father had a heart issue and would need surgery. Fear crashed through her. She called Theo, voice trembling. He dropped everything and raced to her side. At her apartment, Myra's hands shook as she spoke. Theo asked quietly, "What do you need from me right now?" Mira choked back tears. I need to not face this alone." And then, "How can I make you feel safe enough to share all the fear I haven't said out loud?" Mira sobbed. In that moment, she poured out her terror, nightmares of losing him, guilt for years of distance, pain she'd buried to stay strong. Theo listened, no interruptions. When she paused, he held her and whispered, "I've got you. I'm not going anywhere." 8. Acts of love. The waiting room. In the hospital corridor, 72 hours seemed like an eternity. Theo sat by her side, offering water, warm blankets, and constant presence. Every few hours he asked, "Mira, what part of today has weighed on you the most? How can I make this better, even if it's just by holding your hand?" He didn't solve medical puzzles or offer empty platitudes. He offered himself, his ears, his patience, his unwavering care. Aftermath and healing. When the surgery succeeded, Mira felt a profound gratitude, not only for her father's recovery but for the love that had cradled her fear. That night, back at her studio, she painted a river scene, dark waters turning silver in moonlight. At the shore stood two figures, hand in hand, one asking, the other finding the words to answer. 9. Reflection, the gifts of the two questions. Over time, those two questions became daily rituals, waking whispers and bedtime liturgies. They wove trust into every moment, spicy debates in the kitchen, rainy walks with shared laughter, quiet hours absorbed in books. Mira no longer feared being honest. She knew Theo would not only ask but truly listen. Theo no longer hesitated to show vulnerability. Myra's question, "What do you need most from me?" gave him permission to be himself. Epilogue, your invitation. Imagine your own life as a blank canvas. What colors would you choose if someone truly asked? 1. What do you need most from me? 2. How can I make you feel safe enough to speak your truth? Feel the tremor of possibility. Because true love isn't measured in grand gestures or perfect endings. It's built in ordinary moments when we ask and answer the hard questions. When we lean in, we discover new depths in each other and in ourselves. So today, reach out to someone you care about. Ask them these 2 questions. Sit with whatever they tell you. And watch as the threads of love and trust grow stronger than you ever imagined. Thank you for spending this time with us. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Don't Give Up. Let's continue exploring life's challenges and insights together.